What's good with y'all, boys? Welcome back to another episode of Rand Everything Sports Podcast. Today, Ray and I are here to give our updated predictions for the East and West in the finals. So, Ray, who do you have coming out of the East, and who do you have them facing in the Eastern Conference Finals?
So for me, my Eastern Conference Finals is going to be Celtics over Bucks. I believe the Celtics are going to win it. No matter who they face, they just have too many stars. I mean, you have Jason Tatum, who is arguably your MVP right now, definitely an MVP candidate. And then you look, all five of their starters finished top 10 in All-Star voting for their field. I mean, that's just an accomplishment that you don't see very often. I'm not sure if it's ever even happened before. And then you look at the other side, I just feel like if you look on paper, for sure the Bucks are the team they will face. But if you just look at who can get it done in the playoffs right now, I just believe it's going to be the Bucks. I mean, you have Giannis, who is continuing to shine. I mean, he's going to shine for years, and he's just continue to do that. He's third in points and sixth in rebounds right now, so he gets it done on the glass and on the floor, and he's being productive as well. And then you look paired with Dame, who's always top five, and I meant always top 15 in every major category. So, I mean, top 15 right now in points and assists, no surprise there. And then you just look at a team with experience. I mean, the Bucks, I think every year you expect them to make a little bit of a run, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them there with the Celtics. But I don't believe that anybody in the East, compared to the West, which I know that it's very competitive, but I don't believe that anybody in the East can compete with the Celtics right now.
Yeah, listen, I think if there is a team to beat the Celtics, it would be Milwaukee. I mean, I think a lot of people would say the 76ers, but Joel Embiid is not. He's just a different player in the playoffs. He doesn't show up. He's just simple as that.
Yeah,
So I also do have the Bucks playing the Boston Celtics, and I have the Celtics being the one seed or the higher seed, of course. But I have Milwaukee beating the
no
Bucks.
way.
So people forget that in 2022, when the Celtics lost to the Warriors, they beat the Bucks, but the Bucks didn't have Chris Middleton, and they also didn't have Damian Lillard. Now, I understand, yes, people will say, and the only reason why I hesitate with this pick, the only reason is because Doc Rivers is such a choker of a coach.
It's true.
I mean, you go back to Lob City. I mean, you go back to Lob City with the Clippers. That team should have won more. The best they did was damn near get swept in the conference finals. You go back to the 76 with Joel Embiid, which that would just look as bad because Joel Embiid didn't show up. But still, even with that team, to not even make it to a conference finals, I mean, he's never really. I mean, you look at the Celtics. The only reason why he won with the Celtics way back when they beat the Heat and LeBron and all them is because they had a Hall of Fame team with Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and that's the. But he wasn't all that involved as a coach. I mean, hell, that's like the coach when they with the Warriors with Steve Kerr. Yeah, Steve Kerr's a great coach, but with KD, Curry, Draymond, Clay, you can't help but win. But I have the Bucks beating the Celtics primarily because if they were to match up, Tatum would be the third best player on the court. I mean, he just would.
No way.
Maybe even the fourth if you're talking about the playoffs. For sure, Giannis is better than Tatum. Well, I think we would agree on that.
Slightly is what I would say, but
Okay.
yes.
Dame just simply
No
you
way.
look at all
No
you
way.
look at the numbers in the playoffs. Listen, people forget how good Damian Lillard is in the
And
playoffs.
Jason Tatum is in
He's
his
a
prime.
beast.
His best season is
He's a
going to be this
beast.
season. There's no
Even if you go back last year in the playoffs, Jalen Brown and him had very similar numbers. So for sure, third, maybe even fourth best player. And then Kristaps, listen,
Hold
2020 in
on.
the bubble
Who are you
before he
putting
got
in
hurt.
third? Who are you putting in third above Jason Tatum? Because this is just
Okay, listen, for sure Giannis, for
okay.
sure Dame,
Here we go.
possibly Jalen Brown,
Oh
and
my
possibly
God!
Kristaps.
You
I don't
essentially
know. I'm talking about playoffs. Player in general, talking about everything combined. Sure, he's for sure too. But and listen, right? In last year's playoffs, a turnover machine, they're disgusting. And the year they missed the finals, the most turnovers ever in playoff history with 100 turnovers. So now you'll talk
they
about
also
that.
played the
But
most
especially,
games.
but especially last year. Yeah, I mean, right? You gotta realize there's been hundreds of thousands of people who made it to the finals who didn't have 100 turnovers.
Yeah, but they also didn't play in 3 game sevens.
Okay, for the last 20 years we've been doing game sevens. So that means we've had 100,000 million teams go to the finals and play the same amount of games. But that's beside the point. The main point is if they played in the series, I love taking the top two players, and in that series, the Bucks would have the top two players. I mean, they just would. Giannis, no doubt, is a better playoff performer than Tatum.
Yes.
I think we would agree with that. Okay, Dame, he's been hitting in Portland. He hasn't really played in a. I mean, he's only won two conference championship games. I think Tatum's won like seven or eight. I know they won three when they played LeBron. No, he's probably won more than that, honestly. And then, of course, when he was in the finals, he has to won four. So Tatum has been there. He's done that for sure. But I like the Bucks in that series just because they have the better players. Tatum, he didn't have that it factor in him.
There's no
He's
way.
a great player. He won't be a number one on a championship team. He won't. That's just simple as that. So
But
I would have Milwaukee beating the
I'm
Bucks
taking
or beating the Boston.
I'm taking 5 All-Stars versus 2. I'm taking the 5. To me,
Oh, I didn't even give out the main point. Also, you gotta realize Kristaps is very injury prone. We go back to 2020 when he was on the Mavericks with Luca.
well, no,
Luca and
that
the
was
Mavs were dominating that
I
series
agree.
until he got hurt.
I agree, but we're talking about right now. As it stands, there's no way I'm taking any team in the East over the Celtics. You can't. You have 5 All-Stars. They're too deep. You look at when it comes to playoffs, it's a lot about depth. You're going to have great players on every team, but you look at who has the most depth. There's no way that you can say any team has as much depth in their starting lineup as the Celtics in anywhere in the NBA.
Listen. Last year the Heat had more depth than the Nuggets, but the Nuggets had them two dogs at the top with Judd,
No, this
Jamal, and
Celtics team
Jokic.
is way better than
I'm
that
just saying
team from last year.
depth is overrated in the NBA. Almost all LeBron's teams. I mean, listen, LeBron has a quote back on the Cavs saying we're top heavy as bleep. Listen, in the NBA, it's about who are your dogs. And if Milwaukee plays Boston, Milwaukee has two dogs compared to two pups.
No way. There's no way. And whenever Jason Tatum and Giannis match up in the playoffs, Jason Tatum will outscore Giannis through the series.
Okay, listen, yeah. He'll outscore him by maybe 5 points, but Giannis will smash him in rebounds and beat him in assists as well.
Okay,
And defensively, we don't want to talk about that.
when it comes to the glass, yeah, probably that's where Milwaukee will make it close because they'll get way more rebounds than them because they don't really have that guy to get those rebounds like they have Giannis. But when it comes to the Celtics, you never know which guy's going to kill you because all 5 of them on any night can kill you.
I mean, listen, we got to realize Giannis right now averages more points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and shoots a higher percentage from the field. And in the playoffs, I'm sure his overall numbers smashed Tatum's. I mean, the same. And we got to realize when they made it to the finals, yes, they beat the Bucks without their at the time second best player.
It's not a one-on-one in playoffs. It's not Jason Tatum versus Giannis. It's the Celtics versus the Bucks. And you have a complete starting 5 versus a complete starting 5. The Celtics are light years ahead of the Bucks, and there's no way the Bucks are going to beat them.
Who's guarding Giannis, Ray? Yeah, who's guarding Giannis?
You act like Giannis. They're going to allow Giannis to score 100 and just beat them themselves.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Listen,
they need to Giannis. They're going to neutralize them just like they do every time they beat them.
Every time they beat him once.
Every time so far.
But they play every time. You gotta realize, how did the Bucks make it to the finals and win a championship?
I'm just saying, whenever the Celtics beat them, they find a way to neutralize them. They're going to do that this year.
Listen, all I gotta say is I'm one of the guys where to believe it, I need to see it, and I have not seen Tatum just say, "Listen, I'm not losing."
You've seen him continuously just.
Have I?
And he's up
last year, Game 7.
He's up.
But last year, Game 7 against the Heat, who they should have beat.
They should have beat the Heat.
But they were down 3-0 against. Come on, you can't do that.
Which team do you think is better, this Celtics team or the Celtics team from last year?
Well, I don't know yet. Because listen,
come on.
Listen, 2 different sports, right? 2 different sports, but similar things, in my opinion. Just like the Bills or the Cowboys. How about this? The Cowboys, prime example. Every year, oh my gosh, they look good. They put together a great season. But in the playoffs, they don't get it done. Celtics like that to me. Every year, they're a top 3 seed. Every year, they're projected to do this, projected to do that, have great odds to win the title, but they fall short. I mean, they just do continuously. And listen, Tatum has that ability. He does, but I just don't think he has that in him.
At some point, he's going to solidify it, and I believe that's this year. And I believe if he doesn't do it this year, I don't know that he will do it because they're not.
I agree.
They're not going to get rid of enough guys on that team to be able to bring in another superstar with him. They're going to have their superstars as JT and JB. They're not going to get rid of Jaylen Brown like they would have to bring in another solidified superstar. So they're going to have to win it with this team because otherwise they're not going to be able to bring in any more talent than they have right now.
Well, for sure. I mean, you got 2 guys on Supermax deals. Look at last year, there was talks about, could Jaylen Brown leave or could he,
no way,
because he was a free agent. They gave him Supermax.
Yeah, no, they're not going to.
Listen, you're not going to be able to bring in the type of talent. Like right now, it's probably the best they're going to get. Jrue Holiday as your 4th best player. Kristaps Porzingis is your 3rd best player.
No. I don't know if you wouldn't put White at 3. How good he's been playing.
Well, out of a Kristaps though, man, you got to realize Kristaps, he's y'all's only defender. I understand y'all have Al Horford, but he's too old now. I mean, really,
I'm
he's a
not,
great guy off the bench, hit corner threes maybe, but last year he was awful in the playoffs.
yeah,
I mean, he was.
but still,
White
he's like a
is, I mean,
veteran.
but even then, White is probably what you're just in general for between 4 to 6 best player. That's crazy. I
There's
mean,
no
that's
way
crazy.
you can't put him outside the top five. It depends on the night. He's between 3 and 5, but to me, as far as value, he's the third best player on the team.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe so. Either way, they're going to lose. I mean, they're not going to make the finals, but and if they do, they're definitely not winning it. So, Ray, who do you have going out of the West, and who do you have them facing in the Western Conference Finals?
So for the West, I'm going to go with experience over the new guys on the block. I'm going to take the Nuggets over OKC. Now, at this point, I'm betting on Jokic. I mean, he's that guy. We've seen it last year
Yeah.
in the playoffs when it comes around. He might not want to be there, but you can't tell by how he's playing. He comes out and shoots the lights out. I mean, he's just dominant in the playoffs. So when you come and you see them versus the team who's hot right now, don't get me wrong, SGA, I mean, he's coming alive this year. He's second in scoring with 31.5 points and averaging less minutes through all of the top 12 except for Steph Curry. So, I mean, he's doing a lot with a lot less minutes. And then you look with the guys that are around him, that's the reason that I don't believe they'd be able to beat that stacked team with the Nuggets. I just believe that the Nuggets, with the experience they have, will be able to close it out over a team who's just not quite there. Now, if that OKC team can hold on to their players and kind of bring back a decent amount of players and get some playoff experience, then next year I might be like, okay, maybe OKC's a team that I can see winning it. But this year, I just believe I'm going to take the old guys on the block versus the new guys on the block, and I'm going to take the Nuggets experience over OKC's newcomers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I also do have the Nuggets coming out of the series, but I have them playing the Clippers. The only reason why I wouldn't put OKC in there just because I mean they're so young and typically young teams usually, yes, while they are good and while they do have their come up, it's usually not from not making the playoffs to going to the conference finals. Which I mean, like I said, they're playing amazing. They're second seed right now. They're 37-17. Shea is second in the MVP race right now. I mean, and Chet's playing amazing. But I mean, their average age is 25. They're by far the youngest team in the league. So I think maybe in a couple of years for sure. But right now, I just couldn't put them getting that far. But I like the Clippers a lot. Now, early on, I mean, I didn't like the trade that the Clippers made for Harden, especially because he forced his way out of Houston. Then he forced his way out of the Nets. And then, I mean, for the 76ers, he kind of forced his way out of there as well. But he kind of has took a step back. And he seems to be almost fine with being that third role behind Kawhi and Paul in PG. Kawhi Leonard, we're talking about a guy who has 3 championships, 2 Finals MVPs. He knows how to win. He's not a diva. He's okay with letting Paul George take the shot or James Harden. We're talking about Paul George also. Listen, back for the Pacers before that gruesome leg injury. I mean, Paul George was a top 5 to 10 player in the league, certified. And then you're talking about James Harden, a 2-time MVP, a 3-time scoring champ. I mean, there's stretches where he's averaging 40 points over 20-something odd games. I mean, this team is stacked. You look at Zubac, a big man. I mean, a certified big man, an OG big man who's physical, can rebound, can defend, does all the things you want. And then Terrence Mann also. He's your fourth best player. I mean, just similar to the Celtics. Now, they aren't the Celtics, and they're not – I don't even think they're in the same stratosphere, but they're kind of like a poor man's Celtics in a way. I would take Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs over Jason Tatum. I just would.
Right now,
I would take
I don't
Paul
know.
George.
Of course.
Well, I'm just talking about the playoffs. Now, right now, I'm taking like if you say, hey, Jason Tatum required for the next 10 years, of course, Jason Tatum. But just in the playoffs, I do like Kawhi Leonard, and we know what he can do. And he's a winner. You go back to Toronto. Yes, I understand they beat Golden State when Klay Thompson and KD were injured. But listen, to get to that point, he played amazing. They knocked off the 76ers. Kawhi George hit a big buzzer beater. So I just like their veteran their veteran leadership and the way that they play, and they can defend. They got the 2 best wing defenders in the league. They're both old, but they can still play. But they're facing the Nuggets, man. And Jokic, you cannot say he's not the best player in the league right now. We're talking about a back-to-back MVP. Right now, he's favored to win the MVP again. Jamal Murray, he's Michael Jordan 2.0 in the playoffs. He has a dud regular season usually, and then he just explodes in the playoffs. MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., he's their shooter. He's their spark. He's their X factor. And then Caldwell Pope, everywhere he goes, he wins. You look at 2020 for the Lakers. He averages 17 points for them. He's a great on-ball defender, so he can lock up or limit your best player offensively and still give you 15, to 17 points on the offensive end. That's a huge player. So, and then Aaron Gordon also another great defender. They have really two great defenders on their team, and that's really all you need. So I do have the Nuggets just like you do coming and meeting the Bucks. But who do you have winning the finals, Ray?
To me, I believe it is this team's year. I'm going with the Boston Celtics. They've come close. They've been up there every year for the past couple of years, and I believe if there's a Boston Celtics team that's going to do it, it's this one. This team, we said it earlier, if they're not going to do it this year, they're not going to because they're not going to be able to bring any better talent in than what they have right now. Now, could maybe they develop JT and JB and they be a little bit more impactful? Yes, but I don't believe you'll have the talent around them in the next coming years. I mean, these players are starting to grow. They're going to develop. They're going to need more and bigger contracts. So I just believe that for now, this is the Boston Celtics team that's going to do it. I believe this Boston Celtics team is the team that's going to do it. So I believe that when it comes down to it and you get a Nuggets team who's coming in second year, who's just trying to go back-to-back versus a Boston team who really, really wants this, who's wanted it for a while, who's been up there, and they feel like it's their time. I just believe this Boston team will win it. It's going to be close because, I mean, both these are the great teams. And you look at a team that's been there before, and you look at a team they've been there, but they haven't won it. I just believe that all around the Celtics team, from their first to their fifth best player, you got the starters who are going to play most of the minutes in the playoffs anyways. I just believe that Boston's got the better five over any team in the league.
Okay. Yeah, for me though, I'm gonna have Denver beating Milwaukee 4-2 to win it all. I mean, you're looking at Jokic, who's you can't say he's not the best player in the league. Coming off of Finals MVP, coming off of a championship, back-to-back MVP. He's the favorite this year. I just think that the way he does it just so effortlessly, and Jamal Murray, the way he plays in the finals. We look at the young guy, Michael Porter Jr. finally getting that ring. And then Aaron Gordon and he is. And I understand Giannis and what he brings to the table, but um, Dame, he's never been there. Uh, Middleton has been hurt for most of the year, so I mean, if they do get to the finals, how will he shape up? Doc Rivers, if they do happen to beat Boston in the conference finals, I mean, listen, he's just not a very clutch coach, and that's my biggest concern for this Bucks team is Doc Rivers. Dame Lillard, top 10 player, top 12 minimum. Giannis, top 3 player, probably top 2, right behind Jokic. And I wouldn't say you're crazy if you say he's number 1. So I think this would be a crazy good series. I would love to see how Giannis matches up with Jokic, and especially Jokic matches up with Giannis because Jokic is going to be a great defender. But I mean, listen, when those two guys wash each other out, and then you have Caldwell Pope on Dame for most of the game, I think he can really do numbers on Damian Lillard as a defender. So I'll be very interested to see if this happens. But going back to your finals prediction, if the Celtics get there and play Denver, I mean, listen, I would love to see Tatum get another shot at this because he didn't play bad by any means against the Warriors in their finals, no doubt. But he didn't have that great performance like we thought he would. Similar to LeBron. LeBron played first 3 games played amazing, but when it really mattered in his first finals, he kind of disappeared how Tatum did for me. So I would love to see him get another shot. And I mean, really, I don't think anybody would be able to match up with Jason Tatum. They would probably put MPJ on him, but listen, he would big body Michael Porter Jr. Let's be real. But then again, who would stop Giannis? Or not Giannis. Who would stop Jokic? And I think that'd be where Denver would take the series. So I think if they play Boston, they'll win. I think if they play Milwaukee, they'll win. I just don't really see a team matching up with Jokic and just because he's such a threat to pass and shoot and just he sees the court so well. So I think Denver's going to win it no matter who they play this year.
Thank y'all boys for tuning in with us. Let us know who you predict to win it all this year in the comments below, and y'all lock in and subscribe with us for the rest of the NBA season, and we'll get at you next time.
Peace.